Welcome back to the Breaker Bros. And this is our instant reaction to the Bengals 27 to 34
React.
loss to the Chargers. I mean, it was ugly at first, for sure. And then it was like the Bengals hit the light switch and they just start scoring.
Yeah.
And, it was just the two missed field goals at the end really hurt. And I would say, the defense really picked it up in the second half for sure. Obviously, giving up that late touchdown run hurts, but we had two makeable field goals.
We had our Ole tackling down the sideline. Have to have one of those a game.
Yeah, it's just like you could tell they were worn out, but at the very least, it felt good that they at least made it a game. And again, it was another one of those games where we probably should have won, but we just didn't close it out and do what they needed to do to get that win. Because, like I said, if you hit one of those field goals, it changes the way you play the defense.
I think the kicker killed the vibes. I think that it really just. Money Mac is not a good nickname if you can't hit field goals. They're so bad at kicking. It's just like I knew when they lined up. I was like, oh, crap, we're going to miss this field goal. It's just like I just have no confidence whatsoever in the field goal kicking anymore.
Yeah, no, it's rough.
But I really do feel like that deflated the team. Just that last miss. I feel like that was it. I feel like it took the offense out of their game. Because they missed a few plays.
Yeah, for sure. There could have been a touchdown to Chase, it looked like, but those are kind of tough because it's like part of the reason why he was so wide open was he was already throwing the ball, so like the safety kind of comes up. But no, they were in a position to win, and they had two makeable field goals, and it's like even if you split the two, if you make both, they most likely win, right? You hit one.
I think if you make the last one, they probably were going to win.
Yeah, the defense really stepped it up in the second half. The first half was, I don't know, it was like hit or miss. It seemed like they started out again. I think both teams had like 3 and outs, I'm going to say, and then the offense.
I don't know that the defense played that bad in the first half. I feel like the offense didn't play good in the first half.
Yeah, because they had like three and outs in a row, which was really rough and kind of killed the momentum. But it's just weird. It's weird with the makeup of the team, and because they can score so quickly. So like they showed that in the second half. Yeah. And to come back was pretty incredible. And, at one point it did feel like we had all the momentum until we start missing those field goals, like you said. So, it's going to be rough because it's like now you pretty much have to win pretty much all of the remaining games on the schedule to even have a shot.
Yeah, it's just it's not so much the record. It just feels like this team just finds a way to lose games. Like somebody's always letting the team down. The defense steps up, plays well, boom, you miss field goals, right? The offense plays on its head for a half, gets you back in the game,
Yeah, I think towards the end of the third quarter, that's when Herbert had that fumble, and that was so huge because it's like the Bengals went down, they drove and they scored, and in the first half it was rough all around. The defense had their moments, the offense had their moments. It seemed like they were driving kind of early in the game, the first quarter, but they, I guess credit to the Chargers defense because they're pretty stingy. But I felt like once the dam broke, both teams were pretty much scoring. Well, it was like a tale of two halves basically because it's like
it was a weird game. The Bengals should have won that game based on the second half, and really just missing those field goals. To me, that's the whole story of the game. Really kind of a theme of the season. The field goal kicking has been bad all year.
That's two games where the special teams pretty much cost the Bengals. It's like you beat the Chiefs, you beat the Chargers, or I'm sorry, you beat the Ravens, right? If
Yeah.
they make that field goal at the end of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and you beat the Chargers, then they're pretty much like almost like a lock to make the playoffs, right? But
Well, they said 38% chance to make the playoffs. I wouldn't call that a lock.
well, no,
I
everything
mean,
changes if the Bengals split because they lost both games against the Ravens, and
oh,
that
you mean those earlier games? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, I follow. I thought you just meant this game.
But
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about the first game against the Ravens because like they literally had the ball after the Ravens fumbled, and it looked like they were about to kick a field goal to win it. But yeah, it's been that type of season. It's like they've just been on the wrong side of luck. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can call it luck anymore. It's just, I mean, they're just bad. They're a bad team. Bad teams find ways to lose, right? I mean, it's just like I don't. It's just the way that they've gone about being bad is like crazy, but they're bad.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because
unbelievable.
I want to say towards the end of the second half, they benched Cam Taylor-Britt, and then I want to say Newton came in and played pretty good. I thought that
Yeah.
passer interference they called against him was pretty bad. I
I
thought
didn't
that
know
was
you could do pass interference when everybody was standing out of bounds, but whatever.
I like again like if there's a little hand checking that should be fine because it's both the receiver and the
Yeah,
defender both have the right
on
to the
that,
ball, so
yeah,
it's
but
kind of
on
like a
that
jump ball situation. So you should
on
be
that
able to hand
Newton
check a little
pass
bit.
interference, they were both out of bounds when they threw the flag. I don't know how you throw a flag when guys are out of bounds for pass.
Yeah,
interference.
I don't know. Yeah, again to me it was a bad call, but
Yeah,
he
I
had a
mean
few important pass breakups
yeah, he played
after that,
good.
and
Yeah, I
then
mean even that pass interference wasn't like bad coverage either. I mean he was close. So
and oddly enough, it didn't really affect the game because at that point in the game, because it was towards the end of the first half,
mhm.
it looked like the Bengals were getting ready to at least stop him from getting a field goal. Because I want to say it was like a 2nd and 10 or something like that.
Mhm.
And that's when Hendrickson got his penalty. And then they basically scored a
Yeah.
touchdown.
So was that a
for that.
penalty to you?
No.
Yeah.
Mainly because it just seemed like at any moment did they hit Herbert late, then it seemed like they got a flag. But Burrow was getting hit late consistently, and it just didn't seem like
Yeah.
they really cared.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like the Bengals offensive line has not been holding up very good. I mean, it makes a big difference not to have
Orlando Brown
out
Jr.,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean I think some of it's just the design of the offense. They don't run it, so people just rush the passer the entire
Well, that was the thing. They actually ran it decent throughout the game because I want to say the run game was actually pretty efficient. I mean, maybe there was spots in the second half where not much happened, but it was just like kind of predictable moments. But
Yeah.
I want to say Chase Brown almost had 70 yards off of like 10 carries or something like that.
Yeah. That's
Around that range.
running plays. I don't know, man. It's just like the season's over. And
It feels like it, but I mean, statistically, we're not technically out of it, but it's just unless the defense finds a way to get a little bit better, which I mean, if they played the way they did in the second half, the Bengals will be fine. But it's like, why? What is Lou doing? That's like, why is he waiting until the second half? Well, I guess maybe you just got to see how they're scheming it up, but it's just almost like the defense is too predictable, you know? So it's like that's why they consistently give up those big plays. But
well,
like I said,
mean,
in the second half, they
plays because they're not good in the back end of the secondary. I mean, Geno Stone has a problem staying on. Like when they show the ball in the zoom in shot on the receiver, he's usually not even on the screen. Like on that last Ladd McConkey pass, he wasn't even on camera when they showed the replay. You know, I mean, it's just they were great at getting free agents. What, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, It was like 3 years ago. And then this free agent class, I mean, you know, the Bengals talk guys have been talking about, but I mean, this year's free agent class on defense has been terrible. I mean, they signed Sheldon Rankins. I mean, he hasn't been playing very well. I mean, he was
No.
out today. And then
I mean, I will say
Geno
this. I mean, on
Stone.
paper, it made sense, and like you just thought it was gonna work because like Geno Stone played really well for the Ravens last year.
Yeah.
It's just weird how bad he looks on the Bengals defense. He obviously doesn't fit with what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, going into next year, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Rankins and Stone is gone.
I don't know if they can get rid of Rankins.
I think they
signed him
can.
to too long of a deal. They can.
I think so, because that's what the Bengals are notorious for is getting deals that won't really carry over until the second year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I could see where they can get younger and still have a veteran presence, like bring in other people that are actually worth the money that they're paying in certain positions.
I mean, McKinley
like
Jackson made a play today. I mean, at least.
No, I mean the younger
the
people
rookies
actually
popped a
look
little
halfway
bit.
decent if they get more playing time, you know. So I just think you gotta find you gotta get rid of Hubbard, you gotta get rid of Rankins, you gotta get rid of Stone and Bell, and get younger and more athletic. And it seems like the younger guys that are starting to play a little bit more, they are making plays.
Yeah.
Osai had a pretty nice hit on the quarterback. I think it was considered a sack.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I'm starting to see the younger people make a little bit more plays, and I even saw Murphy make some good run stops. I mean, overall, I thought the run defense was pretty decent all the way up until the end, until they gave up that like 22-yard run. That was pretty crazy, and I think they gave up like another 10-yard run or whatever. But for the most part, I thought the run defense played pretty decent, and there was a lot of times where they were in the backfield getting the tackles. So, but yeah, that lad McConkey cooked us up, cooked the safeties up for sure.
Yeah,
I think we only had one decent good play on him, but yeah, it's rough, but yeah, it's just crazy because like our best players, Burrow, Chase, and Hendrickson, they're having like an incredible year.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
yeah. I mean, he's been a beast. I mean, he still got some sacks today. There were some plays where they had 3 guys blocking him on some plays. It was still getting sacks, still getting pressure.
yeah, I think
it's unbelievable.
And it's too early to really get into it, but I definitely think they have the capacity to, and they also already have like $65 million available cap space, but I think they can get that closer up to $100 million if they get rid of some of these veterans that are not really performing to what they're paying for. You know what I mean? So it's like I can see where they're gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
get a little bit younger, and
you look at the way the Chargers were built, and like they just got dudes on the defensive line that can.
Yeah, but the Chargers also didn't do really that good last year, right? That's the whole reason why they're in the position that they're in right now.
Puna Ford, just like guys the Bengals typically would go after. They have those guys on their team now, and they seem to be able to put a little bit of pressure on the quarterback.
Well, I mean, the reality of the situation is that you're correct. The veterans that they brought in just didn't pan out, and it's like, first, they still got to get through this year. It's not completely. I don't know, because it's like when I watched the Steelers play, and I was actually hoping that they did win, even though they only have 2 losses. It's just like they seem like a really sus, I guess 7-2 team.
Yeah, but they win.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're correct.
The Bengals look great on offense, but they can't win a damn game. And then
because I contributed that to Mike Tomlin. He just knows how to put his team in a position to win. And so, but at the same time, I still think they're beatable. I don't think they're as good as what their record shows. But you're correct. They win. They do what you have to do that matters the most, and they finish games. But
I mean, sometimes you got to win ugly, and I don't know. I mean, it would be nice to beat a team with a pulse. I mean, all the Bengals wins have been against teams that suck. and then they play with the good teams. But you know, I mean, comes down to coaching.
Yeah.
The front office didn't do great this offseason, and the coaches are not doing good. They're getting out coached.
Well, I feel like they did a solid job as far as like the draft, but yeah, the free agency was
I
a big miss.
disagree. I don't think the draft has been that good.
I thought Jenkins was making plays today. I mean, Mims did give up a sack early on, but I feel like he will pan out in the long run. Like it just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Burton made a few catches, but I mean, he really hasn't been.
Burton's been. He shouldn't even be on the team the way he's playing. He's a waste of a roster spot at this point.
I actually thought he had a pretty decent return too.
Yeah, he had a good return, but it's.
And then
two
McKinley Jackson showed
picks
some more flashes again today, and then I really like Eric All. Hopefully he can come back and they take their time. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I would imagine he's going to, at the very least, start on the IR next year. So, and then Newton, I felt like he played some pretty important snaps, and then I guess that McLaughlin guy or Lachlan. I'm kind of confused with that situation because I heard he had like some type of abdominal thing, and they didn't want to risk him going on the waivers and someone else claiming him, even if he was injured.
Yeah,
but I don't understand why they just didn't put him in the IR and just have him returned if he's supposed to come back later in the season. But I don't know. Seems kind of weird. But I guess he seems like he's going to be. I mean, he must have been worth keeping at some capacity. They must have saw something. But I remember when we watched his highlights, or whatever. He does seem like kind of like a Tanner Hudson type tight end, where I see him more as like a.
I don't know, man. Then why is he on the team?
Who, Tanner Hudson?
Because he's Tanner Hudson. I think Tanner Hudson sucks.
Yeah, I don't see where he's going to be there next year, but they already got his replacement already. So, like, I don't think
I'm just saying, like, why are we worried about replacing Tanner Hudson? I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. The team is just not put together well right now, and it's just
there's definitely some weaknesses, and they don't. In certain key areas, they don't really pair well against the division. So,
yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see how the Steelers game goes. That to me, that's going to be interesting because again, I don't think their offense is that great. It's just funny watching the Steelers play the Ravens because they're almost built exactly the same, in the sense that they both really rely on the run, but they have really strong defenses. Justin says Burton ain't. He'll be out of the league quick. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean he's the type of player that he's like he's undraftable because if he play well, first of all, usually like guys wait until you give them the big money contract to show that they've like can't handle the being a pro, and Burton's just shown you he can't handle being a pro, and it's just like, I mean, what do you do with him? You waste all this time and effort coaching him up for what? You can't rely on the guy. I mean, it to me, it's almost like a distraction. I mean, you should be focusing on other stuff. I just like the whole season just feels like it's been a distraction, right? The whole Jamar Chase contract, the whole T. Higgins contract, and then you got like Burton drama, and then like the team just wasn't ready to go.
There's no way they're going to pick another defensive line. I mean, guard kind of makes sense.
Maybe. I mean, anything that plays. I mean, if you a third round pick on a safety, a third round pick on someone who has a shot at playing.
They battled the year before in the third round.
Yeah, I mean,
he actually looks halfway decent. I don't like him as like a deep safety, but I definitely like him against certain tight ends or run support. Like he's not afraid to actually hit people.
I'm just saying, like Burton, like we liked the way he played. Like he looked awesome at Alabama, and then they
Yeah.
said stuff like, "Oh, he's got some off the field stuff," and then, you know, I guess that was 100% true.
It was
So
weird because Burton and I even feel like Chase because like it felt like both of them had a step on the DBs when they threw it deep, but it felt like Burrow threw it more closer to the sideline, which I think technically that's usually where they teach people where to throw it for QBs. You usually want to keep
mhm,
it like 3 yards off the sideline. That way the
yeah,
receiver has a bit of space to stay in.
yeah,
But they were just like running more vertical, so it seemed like they were kind of a little bit off. But I mean, again, it's not even that. It's just like again, they really should have won. They've been in
yeah,
position to make 2 field goals. They missed, and the
yeah. Because
defense,
ultimately,
for the most part, held up pretty
you're
well in the second half.
nitpicking players that for the most part played well. I mean, really,
Yeah.
the issue is that you can't miss 2 field goals at the end
Hmm.
of the game. I
Yeah,
mean, that's guaranteed loss.
and play as bad as what they did in the first half, but the fact that they came back was incredible.
Yeah.
We have invested so much draft capital in secondary, gave Lou plenty of investment in free agency, and this is the best they can get. The defense is so damn broken. Might be another bust. Miles Murphy? No, I thought he actually had a few good plays. I don't think it's that. I mean, if anything, it could be
I'm with
Lou.
you. I'm with you, Dustin. I just like. I mean, we need Josh to talk us up.
No, because it's like some of the people that we're talking about, like I specifically seen them make plays, and it's just like I think it's more the scheme is bad, and I think it's more on the defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
but also partly on the front office. I do think again, we said this before, the free agencies missed this time around pretty bad.
Hmm.
I mean, Gasecki was good, but it doesn't make up what they tried to do on the defense. And to be fair, I feel like in the off season on paper it made sense what they were trying to do. Um, but no, I don't think anyone could have predicted like the people that we brought in were going to play this bad. Like
Yeah. They've
like
been
even
pretty bad.
Bell, like it was just we thought
I
he
mean,
would.
to me, Von Bell, whatever, he was free. Like, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Von Bell ever. I mean, like, they're not paying him any money, so it's not that big of a deal. The problem is they gave a bunch of money to Geno Stone. They gave a bunch of money to Sheldon Rankins. Those are the problems. Like, I don't think the idea was that Von Bell was going to come in and like play all the snaps. I think he was just like
No,
a
but
veteran guy
at the
that was
very
gonna
least, I
help.
thought he would be someone that would kind of solidify the run defense a little bit. And
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of situations where he's taken bad angles too, or missed tackles, or they had broken tackles, and it feels weird. But then I kind of think, well, is this more of like a leadership thing? Maybe it's more of a maybe maybe they got to look at different options than Lou. I think because it's just like if the defense just played average, which
Yeah.
I felt like in the second half they played above average. They played pretty damn good against a pretty good offense, I would say. I mean, we
Yeah.
looked at the grades. Their offensive line was pretty decent, but they, for the most part, all the way up until like the last minute into the second half, they only gave up 3 points. But
Yeah.
but both sides
It's hard
have
to
been
fault
very
the
inconsistent.
defense. It's hard to fault the defense for this game.
Free agency is the roll of the dice. Well, like the thing is like
Yeah. It's like
yeah,
you
it is
got
a roll of the
draft
dice, but
well.
it should be less
You
of a
have to
roll of the
draft well.
dice
And that's the problem.
than the draft. Like
Well,
to me, that's the
you
biggest
have
roll
to
of the dice.
draft well. Yes, drafting is a roll of the dice, but usually that's where you get your best players. It's hard to get an elite player through free agency,
And
um,
I
especially when
I,
you're
I do
spending
feel like
like middle money.
well, the thing is that the people that they picked were more or less going to be role players. I guess with the exception of Rankins, that was a big whiff. Like they expected him to
Geno
be a
Stone
starter.
was picked to be like a starter.
Yeah, that's true.
He was signed to be a starter. They spent like what $20 million this year, $25 million this year on guys who don't look like they fit with the defense.
No, But I don't know. It's still too early. We could talk more about this if they continue
Oh, you
to
mean it's
lose.
too
But
early to talk about the draft? I thought you meant
yeah.
it's too early to worry about the season. No, I think it's definitely time. I think I'm allowed to panic now, right?
Well, you can panic. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not going to
full
panic.
on panic mode time. Well, I'm not panicked. I just season is slipping away.
Yep.
And it's just such a shame because Burrow played like the second half he played. He looked amazing for like what 1 3/4 of the quarter of the second half. It was just like they ran out of gas at the end, but like.
Yeah, I mean, he was breaking
just,
so many tackles
he was
in the second half and making
like,
plays.
Guys right before he was getting drilled. And then, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wonder about the head coach. I mean, like, if it takes Burrow running around like he's like Houdini out there, like, what kind of offense are you calling? You know what I mean?
It wouldn't surprise me if, and I know a lot of people don't think it may happen with Zach Taylor, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went in a different direction after the season, especially if they miss the playoffs. Because it's like
smart, but I don't know who's out there.
Well, it's Burrow. You're gonna find someone. I mean, there's got to be someone for sure.
Like Mike McCarthy.
Maybe Gruden.
Oh yeah, I'd take Gruden.
He wants to get back.
Yeah, that might work.
Sad thing is Rankins and Stone might not be. Yeah, I for sure don't think they're going to be here next year. 100%.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about before, I would like to see more of the young people continue to play them a little bit more. You might as well see what they got.
Why would you not play them at this point?
Yeah, you can't get worse.
I guess you got to play the best players, but at the same time, it's just like,
Yeah, and I mean, looking back when oh my God, I can't think of his name. The original starting cornerback, when he got hurt, I think that hurt the Bengals a lot more than what we realized. Because he was actually playing. Yeah, he was actually playing like a quality starter as a corner. But then I feel like Turner has filled in nice, but then he got hurt. So it's like all the ones.
Yeah.
And then Newton came in.
Does that mean he broke his collarbone?
I think so.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
No. So I don't know. Just
they came up short. See, I think the problem with the perception right now is that we missed 2 field goals. Like if they make both of those field goals, there's no way that the Chargers win. If they make one of the field goals, most likely the Bengals are going to win, especially with the way the defense was playing at the end of the game. Because they were holding up really well. So it's like if you're up 6 points, you could play a lot differently. And I doubt that the Chargers are going to be trying to run as much as they were in that situation. But it is what it is. It sucks. Hopefully they can take this week off and they can play extremely well against the Steelers. Because nothing, I would imagine, would make us feel much better than them coming in and beating the Steelers convincingly. That would be really nice.
Yeah. I wonder what Ryan Finley's doing right now.
Yeah, he did miss a few passes. But at the same time, it's like, dude, he's getting like rushed every single pass. So like the fact that he can perform the way he does is pretty damn incredible. But I don't know. But yeah, no, I mean, he definitely missed a touchdown pass late that he could have had Chase when he gave it to Yosef Oshman. And then where he got hit on that third, I think at 10. Like if he threw it like a half a second sooner, they're most likely convert that 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
And they're probably at least driving the ball a little bit more. But but like what you said, it's hard to fault them because all the way before to that point, they played really well. They drove down twice and got into field goal range where you especially when you pay a kicker, I'm assuming it's top 5 money. He's got to make those kicks.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like Bengals Twitter is very much the same as us right now. Very frustrated and very salty. So
yeah, I mean, it could have been 10 times worse. I know it sucks now because they still lost, but the fact they even came back or were in a position to win is pretty incredible in itself. Because it looked pretty bad. Because I'm pretty sure, like both teams went 3-and-out again. I think at the beginning of the half, second half, and I want to say the Chargers kicked a field goal. They were up 21 points, like early in the third quarter. So the fact that they basically got the game tied, I guess, is like close to midway through the fourth. It was even earlier than that. They scored really quickly a few times, and it was like I think they had the game tied with like 12 minutes left in the fourth. So it was just like, at that point, they pretty much had all the momentum, it felt like.
Yeah. So close, man. So close.
All the fans think the same thing. Bad front office, bad coaching, wasting Burrow. I wish people wouldn't be so dramatic, though. It's like, I feel like as fans, people just need to chill a little bit. It's like, we're not even in a position to change anything. And it's funny how like things can change so drastically in a matter of like 2 or 3 years. Because no one could have predicted that the Bengals were going to go to the Super Bowl when they did. But then, like, hindsight looking back, they actually had a pretty sharp defense at that point.
Yeah,
And
their defense was awesome that year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think that defense carried them through the playoffs.
Yeah, it's like, if they had that defense with this offense, then, yeah, it would feel like a completely different story. But it's a whole bunch of what ifs. But, yeah, I mean, I can't defend certain things that the front office did this past year, but it's like, I don't know. The NFL is really tough. It's hard. I think if it was easy, then there'd be a much different structure.
I don't know about that one.
No, I mean, the NFL is compared to the other.
It's a cartel.
Sport.
I mean, the structure is going to be the structure, whether it's hard or easy.
No, what I'm
Because, like,
saying is things can change so drastically.
Yes.
Like the Chargers last year wasn't a very good team. And then they go in the offseason and they do what they needed to do. They got the right head coach. They invested in a lot of stuff. And now they're a really quality team that is probably going to make some noise in the playoffs. So it's like things can change drastically. And I think with the way things went this year, things are very obvious what they need to do. So, I mean, if they don't do some of the obvious things, then yeah, I think people should worry. But I mean, again,
what's the
going into
obvious
this
thing
year,
to do? What's like number one thing the Bengals need to do?
they got to get rid of the fat. They got to get rid of the veterans that are not living up to their contracts. That's Kappa, Hubbard, Rankins, Geno Stone. Like, you can bring in other veterans and actually pay them either a little bit less or about the same and get way better production.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can draft better quality players for those specific positions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they do that, you can clear up a lot of cap space. You could probably, and if it's the Bengals that I know that the Bengals that they are, I can see them bringing in a quality veteran corner, because that's something that they've always traditionally did. If they can't get the guy in the draft,
Mm-hmm.
which they thought maybe Cam Taylor-Britt was going to be, they're going to go to free agency. They're going to find someone. And then they're going to pair Hendrickson with someone better than Hubbard.
Yeah, you see this? 6-13 against AFC.
Yeah, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. Like, it's like they do everything opposite. You gotta play well against, at the very least, your divisional opponents, and then plus the other AFC opponents. But no, it is kind of crazy how trash the AFC kind of became, because it seemed like last year, at the very least, it was really competitive. But there's definitely a big gap between the quality teams versus the non-quality teams in the AFC. To whereas like the NFC is way more competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to me, there's still like it seems about right. There's about a 10% shot that the Bengals can still make the playoffs. So I'm going to hold on to that hope until it's 0%, and then I guess we can start scouting after that point once they officially miss the playoffs. But I think it's way too early for that.
We got to keep predicting. We don't start scouting until the end of the season.
Yeah,
the official end.
Well,
so
if they, well, we'll see. It's a long road ahead.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Is there anything you want to add?
No, time to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm tired.
Yeah.
All right. Peace.